Yeah, well, the prospect race was a ton of fun last night. 105 laps of green flag racing. So I'm expecting a lot of the same tonight. Expecting a lot of that green flag racing, which is where pit strategy comes into play as well. But you have to be careful with those tires too. Your car feels like a rocket ship in the first 20 laps, but if you treat it like one, you're going to pay for that in the rest of the run. So tire wear, I think, is going to really come into play tonight. Yeah, well, going into turn 1 and 2, especially early on in a run, you're going to see drivers basically flat out through that turn. Maybe letting off the throttle a little bit entering turn 1, but besides that, they're keeping that pedal to the floor. But turn 3 and 4 is really tricky here because you really got to work that brake to get the car to turn a little bit, which is where drivers have been starting to try some different lines. If you enter low, you're really going to pay for it with that turn 4 wall coming up close to you. But if you enter a little higher, you can carry a little more speed and momentum down this long curved front straightaway and through the tri-oval. So it's really going to depend upon how those tires are working out for those drivers if they're able to hold those lines. Well, for me, I think some might call him a little bit of an underdog, but based on his performance in the prospect race last night, I'm keeping my eye on Nick Stockner in that 5 car once again, sporting his Jeff Gordon throwback as he did in North Wilkesboro once again. But we see here on the chart, second fastest so far here in practice. He ran very well in the prospect race last night, worked his way up through the field, having to start in the back. So I think he's a little underdog to keep your eye on. Another notable as well, you see Ryan Lusich up there too. He's always a contender in these races. You really got to look out for that number 12 car going around the speedway because he always finds his way to the top of the pylon. So far I am, especially, every little bit counts and coming across a certain line. I really like seeing them cutting down below that yellow line because, like I said, every little bit counts here. As we ride on board with Norford as well. And like I was talking about, different entries into turn 3 and 4 there, and you saw him take that low line. He kind of washed up out of turn 4 there a little bit, but I don't know if that cost him too much time. But you expect here going down into turn 1, he's going to be hugging that yellow line and full throttle all the way throughout to get a big line out to turn 2 and down that back straightaway.
You probably need to stick to the one while you're holding that pedal, so you gotta keep on going in the car. Right, same thing I do when, creating the car from Alpine, I test it, go to the same track all the time, so I know that track, I just wanna really focus on the car. So there is no pressure.
And that's where you really well, and that's where you really got to think that the prospect race last night really benefited some of these prospect drivers because they got those long green flag runs. They were able to see how these cars were reacting to the track and got that experience. And I think you're seeing it right here. We have two drivers who were in the prospect race last night at the top of the pylon. Gotta admit that is a little bit of a surprise, especially coming out of the Prospect series. But like I said earlier, it's that experience out on track. And I think tonight, the way it's looking so far, it could be the race of underdogs or people we don't necessarily see in the top 10 that often.
I'll tell you why we talk about this. Like with our race, it feels so tight. It feels like we can get into that. It feels like how we thought that, I mean, it really was, right now where we have it at home. So well, you know that, and then you also start to check your crit levels throughout the lap analysis. There's all this stuff that you need. But again, you just plug that into the model, and for the most part, it works. But maybe there's probably the same amount of time when it comes to driving and just watching for a lap. It's like the adrenaline is like but what we can do now, it's fun to look at the scenes through time and see what you're doing. It's super exciting. Trying to really trying to reach this start line. It's been a game. This is the first time I had a contact there, and it turned out that they had a user who was looking to start hunting here. So they split, and we were back out with the split.
Well, and with the start of the race too, they were laying down some pretty identical times. And with the start of this race, if we do get those green flag runs like we saw last night, it all comes down to how good you get that start and where you're able to make up positions. Because if you get stuck behind a slow car, you're going to pay for that the entire night long until they're able to bunch up the field once again. So I think the start of this race is really going to prove how the race is going to go for a lot of these drivers up in that top 10.
I wasn't here. That was iRacing.
Yeah, we got the lights off on the pace car maneuver going through this time by. You're going to see that pace car dive onto pit road. It's then up to Jeremy Miller and right there to keep that pace and bring the cars right onto this green flag here. Looks like last night we had a little bit of a stack up. See if we have that again tonight. We have the green flag in the CIL here at Kentucky for 100 laps. As you see, Jeremy Miller get a very nice start, barreling down into turn one, almost making 3 wide behind him. That bottom line, protecting that bottom line, which is going to be very dominant early on in the race. And you see Ryan Lucas taking that look to that inside, trying to get underneath and see off of turn 4 here. Looks like Jimmy might have a little bit of the momentum, but he gets moved out of the way. It looks by Nick Stockner as they're very tight going down through the trioval here. Let's see if anyone tries to maybe 4 line going into turn 1. Looks like Ryan Lucic now moves up to that 2-1 spot. One thing you got to keep in mind here is you can't push too hard. You got to protect those tires if they do have that long green flag front. But Ryan Lucic is holding on tight out front here, and you see them fanning out in the back, trying these different lines between turns 3 and 4, seeing where they can get that best run out of 4 throughout this whole trial. Looks like we got contact back there entering turn 3. That comes up to the wall, and that's going to bring out a yellow flag for us here. I saw that. That was right up, maybe the front 2 rows there, and it just kind of chain reaction from there. It looks like I saw Stockman in the middle of that as well, and I think some people were trying to get just a little too much early on. They just went and ultimately clipped. Someone put a bunch of drivers into that outside wall. Yeah, real unfortunate for some of those front runners. We were hoping that we're going to have a really good run here in the CIL tonight. But unfortunately, I think that was just like I was talking about earlier. The start of these races are very crucial, especially with that green flag run from last night. Drivers are trying to get as much as they can while they're still stacked together. And sometimes you try to get just a little bit too much and be a little too aggressive, and we see what came of that here. Well, that's exactly right with Sean Campbell there, and it's going to be really interesting to see how he's able to work his way up through these leaders here as they're going to be 2 abreast as they go into turn 1 once again, to see how he kind of works those different lines. It was interesting to see drivers try out those different lines in turns 3 and 4, they now have somewhat of a sense of what's working for them and what's not. So it's going to be interesting to see who sticks to the bottom and who starts to drift up top. Yeah, you see Ryan Lusage start right away. He can start whenever he wants to now that the race has gone underway. And you see he got out to a very commanding lead as we enter turn 1. A little less chaotic this time around as we see drivers be a little more cautious now that they saw that caution in the way. Seeing it go single file down here as they barrel down the back straightaway. Some drivers trying to peek out and take that low line, see if anyone dive bombs down in here into turn 3 as you see them start to go 3 wide. It might get a little tight out here out of turn 4. Let's see if they can sort that out. But you see Sean Campbell now takes that lead as we were talking about. In race situations, he dominates these races with being able to work his way through the traffic. And you see him now protect that bottom line. Now we really start to see drivers fight for those positions. They can feel that front top spot. They're hungry for it. You see them going 3 and maybe even 4 wide at times between turns 3 and 4, side drafting on each other up down here, trying to get that one into turn 1 and get that back down that back straightaway. It's really interesting as we see them attempting to go 3 wide once again up there with the lead as we see Ryan Lusage now getting pushed by looks like the 26 car as we're entering 2 wide down into turn 1. Ryan Lusage once again taking that lead back from Sean Campbell. It's very interesting here as we're going back and forth. Once again, I'm going to bring up, they got to be careful with those tires. See if they're abusing those at all. They're really going to pay for them later on in the run if we go for a long game called run here. As it looks like Ryan Lusage continues to hold that lead. Now let's see if he's able to stretch it out as they are 2 wide behind him. It's going to pull him back a little bit. But it looks like Ryan Lusage might be able to get out to a little bit of a lead here. Sean Campbell in an intense fight right there. This looks like a 3-6 machine. And now we see Sean Campbell starting to fade back a little bit. Gotta wonder if that is those tires starting to come into play. A little early yet to see that tire wear come into play, but you never know with how fast those those drivers are starting to abuse those tires. As we start to see them get single filed out here, I would anticipate now it's going to calm down a little bit. Drivers going to start to get into their groove and then really start to focus on that tire and maybe even fuel conservation to try to make this a one-stop race. And earlier, like we mentioned, there are those different lines we can take in turn 3 and 4 as well. And you're starting to see some drivers that most of them are migrating there down to the bottom, but I wouldn't be surprised here in a couple laps if drivers start to merge up a little bit, seeing if they can't get a better run off of turn 4 as we start to see drivers stack up a little bit here in turn 1 and 2. We're barreling back down the straightaway. It looks like we got cars peeking out looking for a little bit of a dive bomb. That might be Jared Taylor right there. Trying to do that, but you see Sean Campbell moving off the track a little bit, seeing if we can get a little run on the outside there of Glenpool. The Hagen Johnson making a big dive to the inside of Jared Taylor right there through the front straightaway. Going to be sending it 2 wide into turns 1 and 2, seeing if he can hold that bottom line. But it looks like Kayla might have a little bit of a run coming out of turn 2, seeing if he can carry that momentum down the back straightaway. But coming up for this lead up here as well, we got looks like we got some new contenders for the lead. Looks like Carl Lemkool up there, sliding up, putting on a little bit of a slide job up there, taking place in turn 4 to come up to the P2 spot, as we're starting to see drivers really starting to get aggressive a little bit more. You're starting to see them fan out, so they're really feeling a little bit of contact there as well with Hagen Johnson on Sean Campbell's quarter panel. Really lucky that didn't send him around there. Very nice car control from Campbell. It's really interesting to see Campbell take that high line now once again. It looks like he's been starting to get it to work for him a little bit. As you see down the front straightaway, he's starting to get a little bit of a run there. But we do have a new leader at the top of the pylon. That is Ryan Fenty for St. Joseph's College out of New York. He was battling up there in the top 3 for a while and has finally been able to break that top spot. So it's going to be interesting to see how long he's able to hold on to this lead, as it looks like Carl Lemkool is starting to challenge him, looking for that little bit of a dive there into turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, a little bit of a move right there from these drivers. St. Louis University trying to get inside Ryan Fenty, St. Joe's, and now we've got North Texas trying to chase down Randolph College. Everybody trying to get to the point where we have Fenty. So, Michael, what do you think about this situation and the race as it starts to develop? Coming up on 20% done with this one here in Kentucky.
I think it's really interesting to see so many drivers fighting really hard as we see Carl Lemkool get into the rear bumper of Ryan Fenty. And the beneficiary of that is Ryan Lusich taking the point again. But it's really interesting to see these drivers battling so hard so early on, after we saw some long green flag action last night. Maybe they're not exactly expecting long green flags the way that they're racing. But hopefully it stays green, and we might, if it does stay green, see some consequences from all of this battling, especially Sean Campbell losing a ton of positions right now, maybe just a little bit of momentum loss. Probably had to check up for Ryan Fenty getting sideways.
Well, that was the same last night in the prospect race as well. Once you get stuck behind just a slow car, just one corner is all it takes to lose all of your momentum, lose all of that speed you've been building up over those last 18 laps. And then it's so hard to build that back up, where you find yourself in Sean Campbell's position right here of being back in the middle of the pack. We saw him up in the lead, and then here 10 laps later, he's back to that 7th spot.
But, you know, I think it'll be okay. It's a long race. We got 80 laps to go. You know, we'll see how this all turns out. I'm sure there'll be another, maybe one caution. Hopefully, that's my hopeful thinking here. Is that one more caution at most? So, you know, there's plenty of time to work your tire strategy. Plenty of time to work your way back up the field, and it'll be all right.
Exactly, and like what we've been talking about with Campbell as well, he works his way through traffic so well. He just shines in these racing moments, whereas we said, not so much of a qualifying guy as he is in these race moments. But you see here, he's already starting to work his way up as we have a little bit of contact back in the field.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of a touchy touch happened there. I think it might have been Ricky Paz involved in that. If I could rewind my own replay right now. It was coming out of turn 2. Oh no, it was, well, Ricky Paz was involved. Ooh, yes. The 757 of Cody Fadenhauer got a little bit high into another driver, and he bounced up off the wall, but we continue racing. Green flag still. No harm, no foul.
Yeah, the flag is still green. Riding back on board and looking back off that 757 machine. And these drivers going to go through the tri-oval now. Did cross that 20-lap mark and back underway. We're still looking. You can see it's a little bit calmer back at the back of the field. That is Ricky Paz right there, Valparaiso esports program at Valparaiso University. Really strong program from that group right there. we go back up to the front guys, Lucic, Fenty, Kaler, and Jared Kaler coming on board from UNC Charlotte. He's waited, he's made it this far and decided maybe it's time to race now, but he has going to have his work cut out for him. And guys, I'll tell you who I like seeing up here right now, Ryan Fenty, keep getting it done. He's going to try and stay on the outside. That might be where you want to be as these tires start to wear out. Josh, you mentioned that as these drivers have to conserve their equipment. Perhaps not too many yellow flags that we're going to see tonight, at least so far. And so that's going to have to be patient. Yeah, you can see right there, turn one, turn two on the outside. He was able to move Fenty. Actually, Kaler also around Ryan Lucic. And guys, as Ryan Lucic car and that North Texas group starting to have a little bit of tire fall off.
Yeah, as we're starting to see a little bit of three-car breakaway, Lucic is starting to fade a little bit, but I anticipate he'll get a little bit of a draft here and be back up there in no time. But like you were saying, right around lap 20 to 25 is really when you start to notice that those tires are falling off. So that's when you can tell if you've been too aggressive early on in the run.
Yeah, so we're going to expose a little bit those who have used up their equipment to get to the front. Sometimes you have to do it. Still a lot of time left and perhaps a couple of cautions remaining to be seen. But as the drivers go through, good on-board shot. You can see very calm on the wheel. Talk about saving those tires. You're going to do that by keeping that wheel steady. So very smooth, that number 12 driver, Ryan, on that wheel right there. And representing North Texas pretty well. Going down in the corner, he's actually going to have a look, but maybe not yet time to get under the St. Joe's College machine. But I'll tell you what, UNC Charlotte out front is going to be a story that these guys do not want to see as these drivers go through. And I tell you what, Sean Campbell, I think the boss music might be playing. We'll see if it takes effect. He's got some time left, but Sean Campbell has entered the chat, Michael.
Sean Campbell has indeed entered the chat. He made his way back up towards the front from a little bit of a loss in pace from that Ryan Fenty incident, but you know, Fenty's up here still, which is great to see. Sean is making his way up, and as these front tires go off, one thing that I think will be an advantage for these drivers is their experience with it, because the track evolves, but so does the car, and the way that you have to drive the car when the fronts start going off, it totally changes your rhythm. You get into, you know, different throttle application, maybe even some brake application to get the car turned in. And the drivers that know how to do that are the ones that are doing well right now. Sean Campbell, Ryan Fenty, Ryan Lucic, and up front, Jared Kaler. These are the guys that know how to manage the car late in a green flag run.
And you mentioned with the brake as well, I'm anticipating these drivers, especially entering turn 3, are really starting to use that brake pedal, like you mentioned, to get that car pointed in that direction, to get right down to the apex of the corner where they want to be, and then launch up off it. So those brakes are key to saving those tires as you slow down the car, so you aren't scrubbing them trying to squeal your way through that corner.
Good shot right here on board as we look back at the attack. 30 laps in now, and we're going to see who has conserved their tires, but not far back. Only about a tenth or two to the cars, and right there you see that Chevrolet Camaro trying to jump up, and actually Ryan Lucic trying to stick down. And guys, he's tried it a couple times. He likes that lower line right on the yellow, but I don't know if that's where I'd put my car. In fact, you can see Sean Campbell now up alongside, and I think my data shows that maybe it is not the bottom, right on the bottom where I want to put my car.
Josh, knowing Sean, no. Against Sean Campbell, you cannot put your car on the bottom line. Sean Campbell is a outside line master. I have seen him do so many overtakes on the outside line on road and oval. That is not the strong place to be against Sean Campbell because he is so good outside. It is... I don't know how he does it, but Sean Campbell will take you on either line he wants to. This is the boss music that we're talking about. You can try to defend and hold that low line, but Sean Campbell will make his way past if he wants to.
Yeah, back down the backstretch. Two pairs of two, as you can see, the 12 and the 30 trying to do battle, and the 26 actually trying to hang with the 58 of UNC Charlotte up at the front. So these drivers are being able to get it figured out. Henry Morse, you can see there from UC Berkeley, and then Derek Jennings, a couple of drivers who are also paired up together and trying to get their way around to the front of this thing. So still a long way to go in this one, but as you see Clemson looking and making a move right there. That's going to be Andrew Williams from Clemson University just to back in your shot, trying to work on Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College. Ryan Fenty up near the wall. I don't know if that was intended. Pretty big high line right there. Not sure what they were, what he was working on, if he was moved there, but getting a little bit deep and back. So it looks like P1 Kaler, P2 Campbell, and this should set up an amusing next couple laps. Michael?
Yeah, it's good that you mentioned actually Derek Jennings and Henry Morse, because their lap times that they're putting in are about 0.3 faster than the leaders right now. So, you know, it kind of looks like they're battling a little bit, but they might be doing a little bit of drafting, leapfrogging, trying to, you know, shake and bake the other in front of the other on the back straight, trying to gain some time on the leaders, because, you know, we see that the top 4 are really splitting away, and if they cannot battle, if they can get in line and maybe do some shake and bake and get back up to that front pack, get in their draft, I think they could set up themselves really well, get some good track position moving on in the race.
I agree. I think at this point you gotta work together. It's going to be in the best interest of these drivers to get up front. Athena Leclerc always putting on a good race, and she had been mentioning a little bit of a commentator's curse on the roadside, but no such thing here. Working forward quite well, sitting in P6. Josh?
Yeah, as we were talking with these drivers battling out, now running a little bit quicker lap times than these leaders, gotta wonder if those tires are really starting to come into play. I know last night around lap 30 to lap 40, you were really starting to feel those. If you abused them, you were really starting to...
And the internet gods have taken Joshua Teets from us, Josh. I guess it's just us now.
Yeah, I see that moving, looking along. Still Kaler and Campbell at the front, but staying on this GCU action. And yeah, these drivers working pretty well together. A little bit of a higher line from Derek, and he actually comes down and brings it in the corner. That he's able to do so. Not sure if he's quite diamonding off the corner, but that's going to be key a little bit later in the race.
Oh, you know what? Wow, Derek Jennings. I just looked at our gained positions column right here. Derek Jennings up 16 positions from the start of the race. He's doing something right now. It's got to be something to do with those front tires. Maybe the unique line that you're talking about is saving them somehow, being very smooth, maybe not taking so much and building up too much heat in the front that is just carrying him to this top 5 right now. And Athena Leclerc, looks like she doesn't have anything for him right now. So whatever he's doing, he's doing it right, and that's awesome.
Yeah, 100% going through there, and drivers working together. So that gap, you know, I'd like to say it's closing a little bit, but at 2.7, it was about 2 seconds. So I don't even know if I can say that it is closing. He's putting down some fast laps, and he is right back on the yellow line. So maybe trying to flatten that exit a little bit, take it a little bit easier on those tires. But the Grand Canyon University team with their work cut out. So you do see UC Berkeley and Alabama at Huntsville. Actually, Trey Talbot, you know, working quite well. And after that, boy, it's back to P10. Actually, just changed positions. That's going to be Hagen Johnson now in P10.
As we're really starting to see this field get spread out here, we got about a 3 to maybe 4 car breakaway in the top 4, but then after that, you see here, well, got a little bit of contact back in the pack as we do have these drivers bunching up, but it seems like we have these different groups splitting off, so you can see how drivers are saving their tires and ultimately when these green flag pit stops will be coming up.
Yeah, and a little bit more spread out, maybe less civil than what we were just focusing on. But these drivers 2x2 as they go back across the tri-oval and trying to get separated out. Hagen Johnson actually with the advantage up ahead just a little bit of these drivers. This gaggle back here, that's got to be about 8 cars or so, 10 cars, all trying to sort for position and coming up on halfway. It's been a quick one for these drivers and teams, and that's going to figure into what they do. You could make the race on one tank, however, it's going to be to the advantage, I think, at some point to have tires. And guys, Ryan Lusich was back, but up now trying to work, still working on that low line, and he's trying to figure out how to get around that UNC Charlotte machine.
Sean Campbell taking a dive there to the bottom in turns 3 and 4, seeing if he'll be able to scoot his way on up on the exit of turn 4. Looks like he'll hold that position, but looks like Jared Kaler might get a little bit of a run down here down the front straightaway. But as you see, they're starting to catch lap cars. Those might be a little factor here as the driver or leaders start to work their way out.
Yeah, the leaders will have to figure themselves out and what the strategy is. Not sure if you always want to be in the lead, but these drivers able to go through, and yeah, it looks like they're going to try and figure out who can be in the lead right now. In this group, you're looking at Rose-Hulman University's John Dinkel, actually a little bit tight in this corner. You can see that's where they slide up. Cody Fadenhauer, though, good reaction to allow the room there. You can see Colin Koopa there in the 06 from the University of Indiana. Really good run at North Wilkesboro 2 weeks ago. These drivers getting sorted out. Yeah, you can see where if you don't get in the corner the way you want, you'll have a little bit of a tough time getting off there. So as these drivers, looks like we're on pit road right now. University of Alabama at Huntsville, and Trey Talbot going to be the first one down to start surface, and I think we'll see once he comes out just how important those new tires are after about 45 laps on them, Josh.
Yeah, as well as you see these leaders still battling it out after 46 laps here at Kentucky. We still have about 3 cars under a blanket with a 4th one trying to stick their nose in there as well. You see Campbell taking a peek on that outside once again where he is so dominant. Seeing if he can get that run up on, I believe that is Jared Kaler up there on the point. So still continuing to battle it out here. We're in for a treat tonight with these drivers.
Top talent on display as we go in, and Sean Campbell now P2. Guys, it's a little bit like an old cartoon. There's a sword stuck in the stone, and Jared Kaler's got it, and everybody takes turns trying to get it. So now it looks like it's going to be Ryan Lusich's turn again. Will he have anything on the bottom? Doesn't look like he's going to have the momentum off the corner as the RSR Esports machine takes a shot and is going to look to the inside. It's going to be the inside across the line with a good run. Can he get it done by the corner entry? He tried, but not quite. Will it be a slide job? It looks like Jared Kaler will fall in line and see if he can regroup. But guys, that's going to be Sean Campbell and Randolph College to the point.
But not so quick. Jared Kaler coming up here, battling it back, taking that peek into the inside there in turn 3. Not quite going to be able to hold it as those tires have started to fall off. So you see Sean Campbell out there, finally back up to the point after being shuffled back in the field a little bit. And he's out there. It looks like he might have a chance to take a little run with it.
Yeah, and it also looks like Ryan Fenty, guys, not seeing him up in that lead group, so he is on pit road currently getting that service, and so that's going to be a big key. When this all cycles out, where's Ryan Fenty at? Can he have a good in and out lap? That'll be key. Still looking on the bottom, Sean Campbell, yeah, just loving that middle groove right there. Probably easy on the tires, and now that you're back in dirty air, Michael, I don't know that that the 58 machine is going to have such an advantage. I think it probably enjoyed its time up at the front, but certainly we are in the midst of pit stops here. So 50 laps in at this Kentucky Speedway, and drivers starting to make some business decisions.
Yeah, Jared can try to make a move down the inside, but man, Sean is probably laughing to himself right now. He's probably like, yeah, sure, go ahead, take the inside line, as we actually see Jared Kaler dive into the pits right now, so it will be a little bit offset. He might get a little bit of an undercut going here, but if that battle had continued, Sean he would be laughing all the way to the bank. He does not care. Go inside of me. I'll hold this high line. We'll be fine. But let's see how Sean reacts to the pit stop by Jared Kaler. And it actually looks like he is slowing down, so we will see Sean Campbell immediately come into the pits here to avoid the undercut.
Yeah, I think these drivers starting to estimate that these tires, at least for the first 10 laps or so, Josh, you mentioned it, these tires are going to be quick and drivers aren't going to want to miss that advantage. And I do think they have stabilized a little bit, so not so bad the difference in 40 or 50 laps on your tires. But that is Ryan Lucic at the point right now. We'll see if he chooses to come down or if he tries to go long on these tires. Not sure if he would need to do that, but it is right now. Lucic,
Oh,
Williams,
Lucic!
more.
Lucic
Josh!
spins it coming into pit road, gets into the inside of pit road there. Lucic going and facing the wrong direction on pit road as we speak. Finally gets it pointing in the right direction.
Oh no, that is not good for Ryan Lucic. Sideways, spinning into the pit lane. 23 car of Andrew Williams from Clemson had to avoid him on the way in. Hopefully Ryan did not get a speeding penalty or any other iRacing penalty for that, some kind of unsafe pit entry. But, I mean, he made it inside the cones, so maybe not. Maybe he'll be all right. But that is very unfortunate. Definitely some front-end damage from hitting that inside wall, too.
Yeah, I didn't quite see it. I just happened to look over and see him facing the wrong direction there on pit road, so I don't know how tight or how much contact there was, but a ton of time lost on pit road, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, especially with these green flag runs.
And looking at the pit cycle right now, if we look back at our leaders, Jared Kaler, Derek Jennings, and Sean Campbell. It looks like Derek Jennings took a little bit of an earlier pit stop, about 3 or 4 laps earlier than Kaler and Campbell, and he has now found himself in second place on tire strategy. Very, very smart to get a little bit of an undercut on the leaders.
Yeah, that is the way to do it. And looks like right now, as we cycle through, it is currently looks like Fadenauer, Linner, and Talbot. The tower showing out, but really that's the internet that is going in and out here based on that. But still, the race for the lead. Sean Campbell here with Derek Jennings in that 15 machine. You can see just how close they are getting, guys. That suspension working the virtual racetrack down into turn 1, and yeah, Sean Campbell to the outside, no surprise there, and he's going to try and set his sights on that 58 again, and can he do it? Josh, what do we think?
Yeah, knowing Campbell, how he's been so dominant on that outside, especially later on in the run, but it's really going to be interesting here as they kind of equal out those tires. It looks like these two, as we cycle through green flag runs, might cycle out to the lead once again. So this is where you kind of got to race for that top spot. But yet again, this is where drivers are put in a bind of how aggressive do I go? Because as we just saw, we just came off of about a 40 to 50 green flag lap run. So we could go green to the end here with drivers wanting to save those tires.
Campbell looking again to move inside. He's going to try, and he's going to let that car slide up. And will the 58 have a better run? Maybe just a touch, but it looks like it's going to be pretty even speeds across the line here. And I'll tell you who's taking notes right now is Derek Jennings, trying to figure out how these drivers position their cars and what they might do in different situations so that he can place his car appropriately later on down the road.
Guys, you know what I just realized is Kenneth Talbot, he was one of our really early pit lane visitors. So he actually has taken his pit stop. It was about 6 laps earlier than Jared Kaler, 7 laps before Sean Campbell, and he actually got a massive undercut from taking tires earlier. So he is our real leader right now. We'll see how that ends up as we go on in some longer green flag stints, but right now that is a real 5-second lead that he has right now, guys.
No, that's correct. We saw him first one on pit road, trying to test that theory, and it seems to be in a good spot so far. So 40 laps to go, still a minute to go, but yeah, about 5 seconds back. Sean Campbell successfully around Jared Kaler, and let's see now if that group decides, Josh, if they want to play nicely, maybe like we saw earlier, try and catch the leader, or if they want to battle amongst themselves. They'll have to see if they're in a position that they think that the 55 will use up their tires during the race, or if they really have to be able to show.
Well, that's the big question right now, is just how much Kenneth has used up those tires, or how much he will use those up, if he'll be able to make it to the end on those tires. So as you see them battling it out back here for that 2nd through 4th positions, you see them getting a little bit of space. So I anticipate maybe they'll start to play nice, but you never know when you get the feeling of that run. You kind of want to take advantage of it. So I would say if they want to make it up to that top spot, you got to work together here, but that's not always how it works out.
Not always, but I tell you, the 81 car, that is Robert Morris University, who is there. Might be a lap car, don't see on the ticker, but nonetheless has joined the fray. And Robert Morris University's Alex Gagnon right now there, shown there. So going to be, and staying just a little bit out of the draft. I think he's hanging out there, maybe trying to catch a little bit of that air. And pretty close, Derek Jennings, just contact into that 58 machine. That was close, but well held by Jared Kaler. Perhaps not the pass that Grand Canyon was trying to make, but that's going to move that machine up to 3rd place, and now in pursuit of Sean Campbell. So a little bit of a touch there, back into the corner, but everybody lives so far.
As you saw, that was very nice car control there from Kaler, being able to react to that touch, keep that car facing the right direction. Just a little bit of a contact back in there and move him out of the way, just let him know he's there. But as you see, now we're starting to pursue Sean Campbell up there for that 2nd spot, but Kenneth looks like up there in that top spot. He's still holding about that 4.5 second lead, so it's starting to fall off a little bit, but the big question is if it's enough.
Yeah, and that's a good pace right now if you're knocking off half second or so. Just less than every, 10 laps wouldn't be enough time, but about 5 laps, I think. Campbell should be set to go. So I tell you, we do see that 81 machine, lap or not, trying to play and make sure that he gets his airtime. Alex Gagnon trying to look down to the inside. May not pan out now as that 81 car moves on. Maybe some extra tires on that machine and back up to the front. It's going to be Sean Campbell there, P2, Kaler, Grand Canyon University, and yeah, Grand Canyon handing that spot back there to the 58 machine, Camaro of UNC Charlotte. So being able to go forward, that's going to be Sean Campbell just picking up a little bit of that apron. And guys, you do want to pay attention not to be too low on that apron, because down where you see the gray, that is very, very bumpy and will upset the car. I'm not sure if it can do any damage, but will rattle your teeth just a little bit. There you see Austin DeLong also in your shot. Back a little bit further, you see Berkeley trying to make a move. You see Athena Leclerc there, St. Clair College. So a couple of Clemson machines as we come up off of turn 4, and a lot of room to race right there, but you see Berkeley not quite able to be down there. And we're getting now into that 15-20 lap window that you had mentioned, Josh, as these fresh pit tires start to wear out, and we're going to go back to that mid-run feeling.
Yeah, exactly. As we start to see it shake out here, drivers getting a little dicey back in here, trying to work their way up through the field, trying to send it in there into turn 1, but the problem with sending it in there is you really got to slow that car down mid-corner unless you have saved those tires. So it is going to be really interesting to see, like we saw earlier in the race with those come and goers, seeing who has saved their tires the best with working that brake pedal.
These cars zip up off the corner. You can see UC Berkeley did make a move past Clemson. Looking now, that is Andrew Williams in your 23 machine. And everybody's still chasing St. Clair College in this group. And looks like Clemson, Hagen Johnson in that 7 car for Clemson. Checking out a high line, but not sure how that's setting up. But I do see on that scoring tower, your leader, Trey Talbot, still your leader. However, Sean Campbell closing that down to a 3.7, Jared Kaler 3.94 or so, and Derek Jennings shortly behind in tow. In fact, I see a lot of shuffle in the scoring tower, but we stay here on Trey Talbot. He's just leading the way. University of Alabama at Huntsville, and a really good showing for those guys, having been very quick, up through this season 4 in the CIL.
Yeah, as you've been saying, Sean Campbell is starting to eat away that lead from Talbot here from the University of Alabama Huntsville. You see it just continuing to go down on that ticker, now down to about 3.5 seconds, as it was just about maybe 10 to 15 laps ago. We were talking about that 5-second lead. So Campbell now really starting to make up that time with that group. As we see, they are probably working together with that draft and a little shake and bake action as they get up there to that top spot.
Looks like back there, you saw Leclerc now moved up to 5th, Andrew Williams, and then Henry Morse. But this is going to be your battle right there, as you see Athena Leclerc. And still, guys, pretty nose to tail right here. And I wonder if these drivers have decided a truce for the moment. 30 laps to go, kind of long laps here at Kentucky Speedway, so maybe not time just to cover right now, just to stay in line for everybody. But these drivers are trying to plan that battle. And guys, so far I've counted 1 caution, so it's been pretty green, and there's been a little bit of strategy for these drivers, and they've taken the ability to set up and get spread out. And yeah, back down to 2.8, guys. I am afraid that it's going to be out of tires for Alabama at Huntsville, probably around lap 80. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, really interesting to see how this is going to wrap up, as we are under 30 laps to go now, starting to get to the crunch time, as drivers are really starting to get hungry to get those final positions. So we're really going to see drivers crank up that aggressive dial, as when they get an opportunity, they're going to take it. If you give them an inch, they're going to take it a mile.
That's correct. We've seen it before. We've seen a lot of it at North Wilkesboro, but also at Texas Phoenix, right? We have seen the contacts between cars. In fact, we know that Jared Kaler has no problem using the front end of that Chevrolet Camaro, and we know that Sean Campbell has no problem just playing defense. So these drivers are going to be on display here pretty shortly. Derek Jennings, no slouch, guys. He's hanging out back there, and perhaps in the best spot. If anything happens to these front two, he's going to be in a great spot. So a little bit of excitement for St. Clair College there in the chat, putting on a good showing this evening here, and really playing a smart race all race long. And back up here, it is Trey Talbot, Campbell, Jared Kaler, and Derek Jennings currently. Josh?
Yeah, as you were talking about Derek Jennings there, as they are starting to catch this University of Alabama Huntsville car, sometimes the best place to be is that 3rd place spot. Although Jennings is 4th right now, my bet would be that they are going to find their way around this 55 car as they get their way up there. So sometimes as Campbell and Kaler try to battle it out there for the lead, sometimes that 3rd place spot is the best spot you can be.
That's correct. We're looking now at about 25 to go, so inside the final quarter of this one, and still not sure, 2 seconds or so. Yeah, we'll have to see. And it looks like very close to the wall actually for Grand Canyon, but I think that the lap times for this 55 car just fallen off just a touch as you follow that 55 off turn 4. He's going to come across. It's going to be 24 to go this time by. That gap now firmly under 2 seconds by just a touch for Sean Campbell. So Randolph is coming, guys.
Just as you were saying, going to be really interesting to see how fast they're able to catch them, if they are. It looks like over the past about 5 to 10 laps, they were able to scratch out about that half second to maybe 3/4 of a second lead out of that lead from that 55 car. So it'll be really interesting as we just keep your eye on Campbell there with how far he is behind. Still at about that 2 seconds behind right now, but starting to get closer as we see here.
Yeah, pretty good battle going on as these drivers try and make their way up to the front. So that'll be key for these drivers being able to see now where they look. And I think you can see that's a lap machine there. Looks like maybe Nathan brung it, but we'd have to check on who that car was in the shot. And Randolph continues about 1.94. So no big gains the last couple of laps, Josh, as they have been trying to get there, but. Boy, what are the odds that the University of Alabama at Huntsville pulls this one off?
Well, it would definitely be a shock in my book, as we saw Campbell and Kaler really gaining on them earlier on this run. But you got to bring into question once again. I brought it up multiple times before. I'll bring it up again. Those tires. Have they used up those tires a little bit, and are they starting to equal out a little bit?
Yeah, guys, from lap 68 or so to lap 75, Sean Campbell was catching our leader by 2 to 3 tenths every single lap. And now it has completely stalled. Lap 77, Sean Campbell was actually slower by 300ths, faster by 400ths, and then this most recent lap, Sean Campbell was only 0.006 faster than our leader. The tire strategy has completely stalled. That is very disappointing. And it's still stalled after lap 80. Man, I thought we were going to see a really, really close finish. Maybe they'll still be able to reel him in a little bit. You know, there's still 20 to go. So I might actually be speaking a little bit early for that.
Well, as we saw, maybe there was a little bit of a slip up by the University of Alabama at Huntsville there, but almost half a second that Campbell has made up this lap. So maybe just a couple bad laps from Campbell, maybe just one bad lap from that 55 car. But you're starting to see that lead go back to where we were starting to see it decrease before.
Yeah, and that's Kenneth Talbot, guys. Really, really cool, addition and component of that Alabama at Huntsville team. Actually races hot shots there for Charger Motorsports. That's the University of Alabama at Huntsville motorsports team there locally to that group, and a math major graduating this spring. So no shortage of talent in the brain and talent on the track. As Trey just tries and runs around here. That's going to be a really good showing, and always love to see the graduation. That's our favorite part here, and very exciting to see this car out front. The 55 has had some strong runs, even has been awarded the most spots gained in a couple of races. However, putting on a really sharp play here, and yeah, you can see closing just a bit the gap down to about 1.3, but it's really going to come down, Michael, to how consistent can these drivers be and how strong. Also, I would even say Sean Campbell's starting to pull away just a little bit from Jared Kaler even.
Turn the boss music back on, Josh. I spoke too soon. Sean Campbell is still coming. The boss music is getting louder and louder for Kenneth Talbot. He is feeling the pressure. He is sweating profusely. It's gonna be a good race finish. Let's go. All right, sweet. I'm excited now.
Well, with Kenneth Talbot as well, what you got to do in this situation is not look in the rearview mirror. You just have to run your race, be consistent, be smooth, just run smooth corners, hit your marks, stay in your line and stuff. Don't worry about that car catching you, because it's one thing to catch you, it's another thing to pass.
Yeah, and we're going to really have to see how many laps he can hold off. And if Talbot has watched any game film, he'd know that he probably wants to put his car about midway up the track and do his best to keep momentum. Doesn't mean that Sean can't get in there a little bit deep and give a little slide job. But, it looks like Sean has just taken a couple laps. You saw him take his time to cool his equipment down, and now he is on the charge and cutting in about a tenth a lap, I'd say. So I would expect to see those guys. He'll pick up a draft here as well, so I would say he'd be knocking on the door with about 7 to 10 laps to go. So it won't be long, Michael, before we get our race, and you can see there the deltas, and the data is pretty consistent in that regard, lap to lap. So These drivers are going to have a little duel on their hands, and I will confirm that Randolph has really checked out from UNC Charlotte at this point. Actually, that gap now down to 0.6 of a second. Josh?
Yeah, as we see Campbell really starting to pick up that pace here. Now, I'm getting close to half a second here. So I would anticipate maybe in the next couple of laps, Campbell being up there challenging for that lead, seeing if he sticks his nose out to the outside there, especially in turns 3 and 4. But he's coming. That music's playing.
That music is playing, and we're going to see if what kind of blocking we can do. In fact, I see a little bit. Oh, it was faster, that sector. Yep. And yeah, that gap now down to 0.3, so just 0.3. And guys, I wonder, are the tires gone on that 55 machine? We said they had pretty much equalized, but I think that 30 car has figured something out, or that 55 machine has just fallen off just a touch. But that's going to be tricky, and just a little bit of lap traffic to come in, add some spice to the situation.
Yeah, very respectful of those lap cars. Just take that very high lane, not to influence how these leaders play out. As we see, Sean Campbell now eating at that lead, just 0.2 of a second there. He is there. Any slip up from Kenneth will result in Campbell taking full advantage of that and going right by on his outside or inside. But as we see, I bet Kenneth is fighting a little bit of a tight car with those tires. Ultimately, pretty much bald and probably getting close to being threaded here a little bit.
Yeah, that's correct. And going on, you can see Andrew Williams and Clemson University holding down at 6th place, kind of in between Leclerc and Johnson. But yeah, Foley, we stay up at the front here. That's going to be, we said 10 laps to go, and he has arrived, Sean Campbell. And you can see that the 55 has moved his line up just off the yellow just a little bit there, and that's going to be a lot of mirror driving. Yeah, he's going to have to defend the high side, and he knows it. Can he hold the 30 down? There's actually a lot of room given. And you can see there that it's going to be a pretty good run off the corner for the 30 car. He's going to come down, try and block, but boy, can he defend for 9 laps to go. You're going to have to pick every time. It's like a game of rock, paper, scissors. Before you get to the turn, you have to decide how it's going to go and what he's going to make his move on. And not a great lapped car here. You see Robert Morris University up in the front, and Trey Talbot going to have to figure out where to go. And Sean Campbell with a smart move. He is inside. He's got the nose. He's going to use that lap car as a pick. Trey Talbot, that is going to be brutal. And that's Tristan Yoder in the 09. He's going to try the side draft and a little bit come back. I wonder if the 30 slipped there. Massive side draft. I don't know if that was 100% aero for the 55 car, but Michael, we certainly do have a race. 8 laps to go, coming down to 7, and that middle of the track seems the place to be. I thought it was over when that lap car was there. He's gonna, yeah, Trey's not gonna do that again, guys. He's gonna get down and he's gonna assert himself where he needs to put that race car. And St. Louis University actually gonna take the entrance away from Randolph just a little bit. And gentlemen, we are going racing.
Huge move from Talbot there in turn 2, that last laps, being able to hold that middle line and pin Campbell down there on the bottom, get to his right rear quarter panel, take that air off and drag him back. Huge move from him right there.
And so smart from Sean to have the foresight to know that that lap car is going high, and to just bookmark Kenneth into that high line and just have the entry just enough to get through. And it's amazing that Kenneth got back by. I really love to know, maybe in the post-race interview here, what exactly happened where Sean Campbell absolutely lost all of his momentum, because it looked like Kenneth lost all of his momentum having to lift for that lap car. I have no idea what's happening right now, but we got 5 to go, and it is getting spicier. Remember, Sean Campbell on 7-lap newer tires.
Yeah, Sean Campbell on newer tires, and he juked a little bit. He faked inside. He brought the 55 down to the inside and then went high. He wants that high line. He knows he wants that high line. The 55 knows he wants it too, so he's going to try and get in the corner. Can he complete the slide job? Yeah, not quite there. So that's going to be the 55 run up off this corner. You'll see him dive down to the front. but I think one of the games that's going to be in play is who can get off of turn 2 the best. So not this lap, but next lap, can Sean Campbell, and I think that's his best shot, is getting into turn 1 with 4 laps to go this time. Sean Campbell's best shot is to get this pass done into turn 1.
And you saw there with Campbell on that last lap, taking a look there to that inside in 3 and 4, lost all that momentum on the exit as Kenneth was able to pin him down there and force him to wrap around that bottom and not come up. Very smart move once again from Talbot.
Yeah, and he sees right now just didn't leave too much space up towards the wall, and Sean is going to be up high. Yeah, expertly done in putting that car, using his momentum to be able and see where 30 is going to be. Pretty close now. Where's it going to go? He's going to give that high line to Sean Campbell, and does he move up towards the end? Yes, Sean going to try and look low underneath. Pretty good run, and there's your side draft. That's going to be key for the 30 machine. Neck and neck across the line, guys. The gap showing is 0 on the scoreboard.
It's going to be interesting once again if Talbot is able to carry that momentum in that high line, get down on that quarter panel of Campbell once again. But you see neck and neck down here through the back straightaway. Let's see if Talbot can pin Campbell down there on that bottom once again.
Coming to the white flag, this time by Alabama at Huntsville on the outside. He's got a little advantage from the 30 car here at Kentucky Speedway. He'll close it off, but I don't even know if he wants to do that, guys. Will he block the outside? Yeah, he said, that's my line. And the 30 car is going to go and try and set up. He knows this is his last chance into 3 and 4, and he's closing up right here. He's going to get a good run, and he's got to pick a side.
Looking down here to the inside, will it work for Campbell? Will he be able to pull off the small job? Looks a little bit of a contact there, but it looks like Talbot makes a little bit of a better run coming to the checkered flag, and he will hold off Sean Campbell.
He wins it. Round 3 at Kentucky goes to the University of Alabama at Huntsville. And Kenneth Talbot, Trey Talbot, absolute masterclass, holding off the hard-charging Boss Music-funded Sean Campbell from Randolph College, guys. And that was one that we are going to look back at for a long time, and a stellar drive from Talbot. Guys, I think Ryan Whitlock has a teammate on his hands.
Without a doubt, that was an incredible run by Talbot here. Burn it down. You earned this one with holding off one of the best in the leagues. Strategy came into play, was on his side tonight. An incredible run by the 55 machine.
Uh-oh. Just two teammates getting together there. Ryan Whitlock coming in to celebrate with his teammate after a extremely well-deserved victory. That was an awesome last 10 laps. That shootout. Wow. That's the only word I have for this. Oh, man. They're just having a lot of fun out there right now. You'll love to see it.
You love to see the culture of that program working together, celebrating each other's success, and like I said before, a master class performance by that 55 machine. I think we have a new contender here in the league. He's here to play, and he's here to be at the top.
Yeah, no stranger to the top right now, and Ryan Whitlock has done that program proud for a very long time and several seasons, and now it is the drivers here able to follow through, and Kenneth Talbot, as you mentioned, Josh, is here making his mark. So your top finishers and final results will be Kenneth Talbot, as we say in a barn burner here in Kentucky, Sean Campbell and Jared Kaler from UNC Charlotte, Derek Jennings from Grand Canyon University with a great race, Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College, Hagen Johnson and Andrew Williams, Clemson University, will lock out 6th and 7th, and Ricky Paz from Valparaiso University, P8. Ryan Whitlock, teammate to your winner this evening from Alabama Huntsville, will be in P9, and P10 goes to Matt Norberg from NC State, the Wolfpack driver. Esteban Munoz from FIU brings home 11th place, and 12th will go to Purdue's Andrew McCall. Thomas Nelson's Cody Fadenauer takes home 13th, and 14th St. Louis University with Grant Lemcool. John Dinkel from Rose Holman and Tristan Yoder from Robert Morris University, P15 and 16. P17 going to be North Texas. Zach Lindler from Clemson University going to be P18 in that group, guys, and that is a solid performance from those drivers. So I believe close up we have our winner coming up, guys. Trey Talbot. Congratulations. Do you have a copy? And give us your initial thoughts on that one.
Yep, got you loud and clear. Was very excited for Kentucky. This is my home track, my favorite track in iRacing, so I knew I had some pace here. Struggled at the start getting through traffic, but decided to short pit and see if I could hold on to the tires to the end of it, which I could.
Yeah, what influenced that early pit decision? Were you just throwing caution to the wind, or were you thinking about a caution happening again, or what was the thought process there?
I was expecting it to go green the rest of the way. Kentucky usually goes green, but I was just caught behind those cars. There was a big gaggle in front of me, and so I figured, these guys are holding me up so much, I'm going to be better off pitting and running on my own.
Well, we saw as Sean Campbell was catching you there at the end, you put on a masterclass of making him work to try to get around you. It looked like he was going to do that a couple of times, but you pinned him down there on the bottom, got that side draft, you got around him. So what was going through your mind as you saw that 30 machine getting bigger and bigger in your rearview mirror?
I was just thinking about my team at Charger Motorsports and them watching, and Ryan back there rooting for me, and that's sort of what my coach Matthew Tucker taught me to do. He taught me a lot about how to race people and how to keep them pinned down there, and so I just focused on what I learned and made it happen.
Well, and that you did. It was. I hope you had as much fun as we did watching. That was one that we'll talk about for a minute, as we mentioned before. But tell us, I think you already did, about all the people who make this possible for you and brought this one home tonight. Was it a team effort?
For sure, it was a team effort. We got a Charger Motorsports, University of Alabama and Huntsville's racing team that we started last year. I drive a car in that. It's called the Hot Shot Series 98 Grand Prix. And we've been racing out at Huntsville Speedway, doing iRacing as well. And Ryan's on that team as well. And then we've got a bunch of guys that have just been putting a ton of effort into Charger Motorsports, getting this team off the ground and making it happen. And we've even got a sponsor, Mathnasium of Huntsville. They've been supporting us too. So just great to see all of these people coming together and making this team possible.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations. Certainly enjoy your win and have your team enjoy the win. Very well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys, that was 100%. There is takes a lot of patience and takes a lot of excitement and good headspace for that team and that driver to bring this one home. Coming on now, and maybe we'll get to ask those questions you had mentioned, Michael, is our P2 finisher, Sean Campbell. Sean, congratulations. It was a hard-fought race, and how did it look from your angle?
I wouldn't have wanted to lose it any other way, honestly. That was really fun for the last couple of laps after the stop. I don't know how he jumped all of us, but he did, and good job to him for the pit stop. He gained so much time. And then it was a matter of reeling him down. And then once I got there, I don't know if the tires equalized. I think I had better tires, but he held me off.
Yep, he pitted on lap 44. You pitted on lap 51 just after Kaler. So you're reeling him in, and he took a little bit of a play out of your playbook, which is the high line. Work us through trying to play against your own game.
Impossible. The high line is OP, and I'm glad somebody's finally used it to effect. Because it's so tough to pass. You'll send it in so deep, like the final corner I did. Sorry for sending it in too deep and hitting him. But you just get the launch off the corner every single time. And once the tires start to wear, you have to slow down so much on the inside that it's very tough.
As you were starting to catch him there at the end, we really saw you kind of stall out for a little bit, but towards the last 10 to 15 laps, you really ate into that lead. So as you saw yourself getting closer and feeling that draft, what kind of different strategies were going through your mind on ways you could maybe try to get around him?
I think once I got within the, I was trying to gain about 2/10 a lap because he was about 5 seconds ahead and there were about 40 laps left. But once I got into the 1 second range, it became a game of dirty air because I started to feel it. But so I started to try and save the tires a little bit so I could push right at the end, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah, that was a story well told. I think we had a lot of fun checking that out. So let us know who makes this possible, and was it a team effort tonight?
Michael and Eric and Max, as per the usual. But I don't know. I was introducing my team in Discord chat to oval racing. They're not very used to it. I thought it was interesting for the final 10 laps.
You got some sponsors from RSR, Sean?
Butt kicker.
There you go.
And G Performance.
Nice.
There you go. You love to see it. So congratulations, Sean. And yeah, we were pretty interested too in the last 10 or 15 laps or so. Pretty technical for you guys being able to come down to it and come down to one of the closest margins this year. So congratulations again to you and the squad.
Thanks.
Sure. Going to be Jared Kaler from UNC Charlotte. And Jared, tell us a little bit about that race.
Oh, it was it was pretty tiring. This track, it's pretty difficult to pass, honestly, especially with how the dirty air works, and then you get that tire fall off, and then it seemed like it kind of all stabilized around maybe lap 20 or 30 into the run. And I think you kind of saw that there. Kenneth, I think, did a great job there with his strategy call pitting early, and he got out to that gap, and then he kind of was able to time it just perfectly. It seemed like to where the tires kind of stabilized out. So he did a really good job with that strategy.
Nice. And one thing on my mind as we're doing these questions here is I want to get into your head around when Derek Jennings decided to go inside of you and your pace thereafter. Was there a little bit of rear end damage, some aero damage that might have affected you there, or what are your thoughts on the move and how it played out after that?
I mean, I think it's kind of just racing there. You know, I think we were all kind of just saving our stuff a little bit, and I was kind of backing up that turn quite a bit. And it didn't look like I had any damage afterwards, but I'm sure I had to slide the tires afterwards, trying to save that. So I probably burned off a little bit of rubber, and I think maybe that was the reason why the pace kind of just fell off there. But I didn't see too much damage there on the left rear side. So maybe it was just tires got overheated, and then it's kind of hard to cool them off, and it just kind of built on top of that over the rest of the run.
Early on in the race, we saw you really fighting it out there in that top spot with Sean Campbell and all those, and Ryan Lusich and all those other names that we usually see at the top of the pylon here. But to those who may be a little new to oval racing, kind of talk us through how difficult it is to walk that fine line of being aggressive and trying to fight for spots, but yet trying to save those tires to make sure you can continue to have speed later on in the run.
Yeah, I mean, I was really battling that mindset, especially in those first couple laps when it was just chaos everywhere. I'm just like, I want to save my stuff, but I also want to pass these guys. And it's all kind of, I think, getting into a spot where you can kind of breathe and relax a little bit, and then maybe conserve those tires. Maybe you're like, all right, I'm faster than this guy, but I'll let him by for a little bit, and maybe just let things settle down, and just kind of like maybe being a bit more patient and just kind of not pushing the issue, because you're kind of thinking, all right, that guy's really pushing it right now. If I kind of sit back, maybe I'll lose some time right now, but he's pushing it right now. He's going to burn his stuff off in 10 or 15 laps, and then I can reel him back in, and then we can battle again.
Yeah, well, congratulations. It was fun and perhaps a little bit educational for up here in the booth and looking on. Tell us a little bit who makes this possible for you, and who do you want to give a shout out tonight?
I want to give a shout out to you guys for putting it on. It's been a fun season so far. Really competitive. I feel like the level of competition has really stepped up from last season, and I'm really excited to continue going and see if we can make a championship charge here.
I think so, 100%. So congratulations, and I think we'll look forward to that UNC Charlotte machine at the front of many more CIL events.
Thank you, guys.
So, gentlemen in booth, that was Jared Kaler. That was going to be your winner for, your third place for this evening. Your winner, Trey Talbot and the University of Alabama at Huntsville. Really, really awesome show that they have put on, and I was thoroughly entertained. And I'll tell you what, Josh, I think I learned that I'm going to have to put my car and start running that middle groove a little bit at these intermediates. I think that's what I'm going to start doing.
Exactly. You saw that, especially in turns 3 and 4 with that run drivers were getting out of turn 4 and carrying that down the front straightaway. It really proved to be dominant later on in the run. So some notes to be taken here as I look to compete in the Prospect Series the rest of the season and stuff. And it was enjoyable to be up here with you guys as we saw an incredible event tonight put on by these drivers.
Yeah, the end of that race is something like that is hard to come by. So I think we'll be buzzing from this even in 2 weeks' time as we go to round 4. And wow, what a good race between two highly skilled drivers to go at it like that, keep it clean, and have a fantastic finish.
It was. That was really fun to watch, and I think that Jared had touched on as we see the growth of sim racing and excitement. We're going to see that level of competition pop up, and so I think that's exciting. Looking forward here, looking forward to the newly announced eNASCAR College Series. That drivers will be competing in, and might even see some familiar names there as well. So all very exciting for us, for the fans. Certainly for drivers and students, and for the world of sim racing. And so I think that from here, all of us, we will be next week on the roadside at Watkins Glen. That's where you can find us next Tuesday night at 9 p.m. And until then, we will see you then.